graduation party was that your brother asked me to give you a hard time. I wasn't at Tyson's, but I met him someplace else. He said, "I'm sure give my brother a hard time." So I heard he smoked a big rib.
So the coons don't get it.
Was that?
That's good. Is there any truth to that knee high by the 4th of July? Might not happen. Well, my dad always said that. I don't know. Could happen. You know what? All we need is speed. Yeah.
So they heard.
Let's get your dog.
You got a bark?
They don't treat every microphone. I went to quite a few. Maybe. I didn't appreciate all of them, but I went to about 20.
I'll keep that in mind.
So the problem I have, first of all, is so many do the same stuff. And the other problem I have is, well, you went to so-and-so's, but you didn't go to mine. People have long memories. I mean, I'll have, like 5 years from now, somebody go, well, you didn't give your graduation invitation. Well, you didn't go to my brother's, so I don't know why you go to mine. Okay. But for Julie, some of them are clearly for her.
Is the season? You know, sometimes on that channel, summer's really nice, but there are times when it looks cold.
It'd be nice for winter, yeah. Or it'd be nice for a little home.
Hey, how you doing?
We never had too much.
No.
He is watching his daughter.
Do you take tries? Can I have your autograph?
But a lot of people do. When it rains.
Let's see, what was I thinking that I did?
I haven't heard a single person. Well, and then these guys. Then there's a lot of this, no, nowhere. You know, the thing is, I told my father-in-law, that, you gotta start somewhere. You can't do everything at once. You don't have the money to do that. So, something that doesn't make sense right now, 5 years from now, if you didn't do it, those idiots, they should have done it when they were doing their.
Like putting a bridge out on the bike path, letting it sit for 3 years until we had money to put the bike path there.
Right.
And we built up the bridge was available.
Right.
And we had a grant to help us put it in. So yeah, we got a little. No, the other bridge is now.
Oh.
Yeah, on the west end. Yeah, that bridge, that's still established.
Okay, I'd like to call the Public Health and Safety meeting to order. We have members Susan Sharks, Mel Olson, Steve Rice, and Randy Desher present. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Second. Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Okay, the item we have, Heart and Soul Cancer Walk Run Fireworks Permit for June 20th, 2014.
I don't know if there's anybody here for this, but it's basically the same layout as what they've done before. And Marius Larson told me that his only concerns would be about the fire ban, if there is a fire ban in place, that we would need to caution that. And just so the gal that's doing this lets everybody know that they're going to be doing the fireworks. So they're not, that's all we have.
Okay,
Well, I would move to approve with the caveat that if there is a fire ban, there are no fireworks.
okay, motion and a second to approve the Heart and Soul Cancer Walk Run Fireworks Permit pending no burn ban or fireworks, no burn ban.
Right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Your nickname is officially the Flash.
30 seconds or less.
Used to be Travis.
Okay, we'll call the Traffic Commission meeting to order. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additions or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. First item on the agenda, DW requests a parade permit for the homecoming parade. Parade would take place on Saturday, September 20th, 2014, run from 10 a.m. until approximately 12 noon. Parade route requested is Main Street from 9th to Railroad, and they would like to have the streets blocked off for the parade as well as cars removed from the street if possible. The only issue is here, the 600 block in North Main will be closed during that time. So I don't know if there's anybody from DW here. One of the things, Diane, if you would want to come forward, one of the things I would probably suggest is come down 9th, maybe we go over to Raleigh, and then come back around 6th, if that. We can go whatever route you'd like. You come to my place, we're on the internet. Lots of people watch, believe it or not. That's one of the suggestions if you want to keep a similar route.
I'm sorry, could you tell me the route
So
again?
just from 9th, you'll come down to 7th, go one block over to Raleigh, and just go around the block and come back at 6th
Sure.
and Main back on,
Sure.
if that would work.
Yeah, we're open to whatever is,
6th and Main, I think you will be able to, right, Terry? That intersection was going to remain open. Right.
sure, whatever would be the best route.
Okay?
And the Outcast Car Club had scheduled their show for that day as well, so we're going to try to partner with them and do a joint parade.
Oh, really?
Okay. Good.
Because ours started, at 10:45 all the other time. Theirs started at 10, last till 10:30. We move up 15 minutes, make it one big parade.
Okay.
If that's agreeable to you people. Because,
No.
we're both tied, our hands are tied on both ends. We're stuck with that weekend.
Okay. You want to come forward to your mic here? Dave, the only thing with when you make your parade request, yours will probably be all the way from
Shopko parking.
Shopko parking lot down.
But what we had planned is just coordinate it. When they get done at 9th or close to it, we'll start out from there and fall in at the end. Because it's going to be a little easier for us to do it that way than try to put them on the side streets. Sure. To arrange it, because we're,
You
it's
guys
our
wanna
10th,
just
it's our
approve
10th year.
All works
So-
tonight? You want to approve theirs too? And go from 1800 block North Main all the way
If it's
down?
not on the agenda, can we do that?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I
Only
was,
thing would
I was
be-
gonna get on the agenda, but they had theirs started, so I thought I've gotta find out what they're gonna do, what we can do with them.
We could do an extension of DW's request, and go all the way up to the 1800 block of North Main.
We've got 9.
Yeah. Or would it be better to have him come back? Yeah, just approve this for now from 9th to Railroad, and then you guys can come back with your request. That'd be all right with you,
Yeah,
Dave?
that's fine, that's
Okay.
fine. What, whatever works for you guys. that's
When would he
fine
be
with us.
back, in a month?
In a month.
Okay, a month from, all
Yeah,
right.
we'd get you on next month's agenda.
Okay, I'll stop by and
That's all
talk
right.
to you.
You just get it to us in writing and get it to Cindy, and we'll get you on.
Okay, all right.
If you guys are okay with going around the block here?
Well, we have to, if that's what we gotta do, that's,
Well, it's that or we do a different route,
nah, that one, we have no problem
a
because.
different
you know,
street or Sanborn.
Over
or
one
something.
block, down a block and back, it's not
Okay.
gonna be. The only thing with ours is, there's some guys that don't go in the parade and wanna park on Main Street ahead of time, and that's gonna put an end to that, but we'll just have to live with it,
Okay.
What will
We
the
just have to work
conditions
around it.
Be at that point, are you thinking that they'll be done with the construction on Fifth?
Fifth at Main will be all right, right? The Fifth itself will still be closed.
Correct.
And should still be closed even for the rodeo parade.
It potentially could be kind of messy.
Right.
Fifth will be closed that weekend?
Fifth will be closed most of the summer.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so that brings the question, with ours, which ones are we gonna have to leave open? Because that's one we had to leave open before for traffic, was
Yeah, it'll be
First, Fifth,
closed,
and
You may
Seventh.
not be able to access Fifth and Main parking lot either.
That's not gonna be a problem.
Okay.
We're not having that swap meter now, that's not a problem. No, not at all.
You just put in your request and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Whatever,
Yep,
what you guys need, so.
okay.
So Lyndon, you're gonna have to change the route even more, because you can't come back on, if you're going around Sixth, you can't come back on Fifth because it's closed. You can't come back on Fourth because it's going in the wrong direction, you have to come back on Fifth.
They only go
They
one
only go
direction,
one
they don't
direction.
come back.
Yeah.
The rodeo parade, we will, and I've been visiting with them too. They're looking at a different route.
See, ours just, because ours, the cars park when they're done.
They park when they're done, and DWUs, they all disband by the depot. Nothing comes back.
So, I mean, it'll be a good thing for
Yep.
both entities
Right.
as far as ours is concerned, what
Yep.
we're looking at. Make theirs bigger, ours bigger.
Yep.
It's gonna, because otherwise, the traffic, if you try to do two, their traffic's leaving when ours is coming in.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
It may just be a big parade that day.
Yeah.
How long is your parade typically?
It
How many-
depends on how many guys show up, if we can't say how many will show up.
How many were there last year?
I think we have had about 100 cars in the parade. Yeah. It takes about an hour from Shopko to get us all down and then Seventh, back open. So,
And Diane, yours is normally.
half an hour, yeah.
Half hour, 45 minutes.
Right.
Right. It depends on when the Festival of the Bands is. There might be more bands this year if the festival is a different weekend,
Yes.
because we're so early.
Right, that's a good point.
So we never really know.
Yeah, because
We hope for a
we're
lot of
telling
entries.
everybody we're gonna announce the time, because we just gotta work with it. We don't need to fight with it, because that just,
No, that's a great idea. I like.
That'll be fun.
And we'll still park in the Mitchell Tech parking lot and come on over on 9th.
Right.
Just because we have so many units that have little people walking, we don't want them to have to walk from Shopko.
yeah, it'll be coordination on the tail end and the front end, not a big deal.
I'll move to approve the parade permit for Dakota West Main University.
And we'll do that route.
And with the.
Go
with
over
the,
to Raleigh Street.
Yes, the
Yep.
additional of the road, because of the road closed.
And are you okay if we start, if we remove cars at 4:30 a.m.? That works best for us. When the
Whatever
parking
we've done.
restriction is
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
Okay, to include that.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'm not on the committee, but I really appreciate you two willing to work together. That solves a lot of problems, and I think makes for a better event, so
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Well, there's no sense in butting heads, because it's just not gonna work if you do.
Clear out, throw another one in.
It's no
Okay.
good for anybody if you
Yep.
butt their heads, so.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next, Heart and Soul Cancer Walk Run Board of Directors would like to request the city of Mitchell close 8th Street from Minnesota Street to Iowa and the Cadwell entrance to 8th Street on Friday, June 20th, 2014, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Cancer Walk Run.
We've done this for the last several years, no problems.
My only question with the construction going on there, you have to notify those guys in case they need to get stuff out. I'm not sure how they're getting in and out of their construction area.
The apartments?
Yeah.
I would think, yeah, we can notify.
Just let
Yeah,
to let them know.
yeah.
They can
I don't know if
probably
they'd
go
be
out
in
to
the evening, but they could. I
Go out to
suppose.
the south, I would think, but
Okay. You can go with that.
I'm not, they're almost done.
Anybody here want to address this or speak towards it? I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. We've done this before. So.
I will move the Heart and Soul Cancer Walk road closure, 8th Street on June 20th from 5 to 9 p.m.
Motion, second by Curtis. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next is a request for a stop or yield sign at 10th and Edmonds, somewhere within this intersection. And is the requester of this here tonight? Would you want to step forward towards the mic and maybe address your concern here?
Do I need to say my name or
Yeah,
anything?
state your name, please.
My name is Amanda Nava, and I live at 516 West 10th. And I use 10th and Edmonds at least twice a day. And I can guarantee you at least once or twice a week I'm almost T-boned, even when I personally yield. I have 3 kids. My neighbor to the right has 2. Lady across the street has 2. So there's a total of 7 to 9 kids at any time of the day outside. And these people just go like crazy and are not even slowing down at the stop sign that's right by my house. So my main concern is the safety of the children playing outside. You know, last week my daughter almost got hit by a car and she's 2. So, and of course I am looking out for the safety of the other people who use this route, or right by the middle school. And it's nuts watching these people just go like crazy, you know, not thinking about anybody else's safety. So I would just really appreciate it if you guys would take into consideration at least a yield sign. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Are you proposing to have it be on Edmonds or be on 10th?
Whichever.
Is there a preference?
I have no preference at all.
I mean, when you talk about being T-boned, is it?
Oh, I'm
consistent
on
with-
10th Street. When I'm going down 10th Street, the
Right.
cars coming from Edmonds are almost T-boned.
But I'm trying to figure out which direction
Yeah,
the
do we
problem
wanna-
is.
Oh, I'm heading west. I'm coming west from 10th.
Do we want to stop the traffic going east and west, or stop the traffic going north and south?
That's fine.
Oh, north and south probably, because that's where most of the traffic is coming from.
Yeah, so you would keep 10
Keep
open.
10
through.
open,
Yep.
Because there's more.
and stop
At least have some control on the side.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any more traffic since the construction on Sanborn Street?
Oh, it's horrible.
Routing there?
It,
Is this where most of it's happening right now?
lately, yes, because of the traffic being blocked off on Sanborn Street, or at least redirected. But even before all of this, we have seen a lot of traffic. You know, because we are right by, I can see the parking lot from the hockey arena and the middle school from my front yard. And I've noticed when there's activities going on, either at the middle school or the hockey arena, we do see a lot more traffic too. Especially when there's tournaments in town.
And Lyndon and I asked some questions by email. The other intersections in that neighborhood on Edmonds, are we stopping traffic on Edmonds? Or
Edmonds is
stopping
through
it on
10th. 10th does have stop signs on the other intersections.
10th?
10th does, yeah, from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Sanborn. This intersection is not stopped.
So do we start out with a yield sign on north-south?
You could try that,
Start
right.
out with a yield and see how that does?
I think that would actually even help. I mean, as long as something is going somewhere, you know, yield sign.
And the yield sign would be at the intersection or would be halfway?
No, it'd be at the intersection.
Can you put some oversized yield signs on there? or-
Well,
Well, we got regulation ones,
Okay.
what we'd have to go with.
Well, I guess I'm kind of not understanding. If we're stopping traffic on 10th on every other street, why don't we stop it on 10th at Edmonds?
Yeah, I drove that, and it isn't every street. It's the main ones on 10th Street, just like Lyndon
Yeah.
said.
Minnesota,
Minnesota,
Wisconsin, Sanborn. Yeah. Typically, if we put traffic control, if you're just gonna do for one direction, you do the one that's got the least amount of traffic, is what you would control. Which we think would be north-south traffic would be the least amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so.
Yep. And we could always try a yield sign first. If that isn't working, I guess you could go to a stop sign. I did an accident survey, and we have not had a single crash there in the last 3 years.
Okay. That makes me feel more comfortable.
Okay.
But like I said, the cars they go so fast, and they don't look. And it's as soon as they get off of Sanborn, I swear they floor it to see how fast they can go. It's like a contest or something.
Is it a certain time of the day?
I've noticed it more when school's out, and I've noticed it more being younger people. I mean, like high school. And now with summer coming up, I'm really worried, because my kids are going to be outside as soon as the sun's up until it's down. Because they're 7, 4, and 2.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to speak towards this?
I try to get my neighbors to come, but they all had kids too, so.
I appreciate you coming tonight.
And thank you for getting the letter to us.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I might have used some strong language in there, but I wrote it that day my daughter almost got hit by a car.
Sure.
I was outside with her, but she's 2, so she can go so fast.
We're used to strong language, so that's.
This probably would not meet the qualifications of the MUTCD to put a sign, but you still have the authority to do something like this if you so wish.
Well, given the fact that it is so close to the middle school and the ice arena, and we know, as you mentioned, the ice arena got busier because we expanded.
Right.
So there is. So I honestly think it's probably, the neighbors are in agreement with them, or they would be here saying that, no, it's not an
Sure.
issue. So I believe, Amanda, that she's got a concern over there. I'll make a motion to put a yield sign on the north-south of the intersections of Edmonds and Hampton.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Will you talk to the chief or come back or something in a few weeks and let us know
Definitely.
if it makes a difference, or if we need to do something else, or if this solves the problem?
Definitely. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this, and I'm sure my neighbors will too.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Will be adjourned. Thank you.
Maryland do a rolling, so as soon as Maryland is ready, I think we'll be ready. Ready, Maryland? Okay. We will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Okay, motion to approve the agenda.
Moved.
We got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Maryland's gonna walk through the first quarter sales tax of 2014. Yeah, we didn't get any.
I will just tell you what they are, and then
Okay.
I'll get them out to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, first quarter, 2014, we have a slight decrease in collection from 13.
Marilyn, is your mic on?
Hold on, there we go. 2014, we have a, we have a slight decrease in collections. 2013's January through March was $1 million. $136,426. 2014 collection, January through March, was $1,132,139. And that is just a decrease of less than 1/3 of 1%. So it's 0.37 decrease. I have the detail for the first 3 months, but I'll send that to you. Entertainment tax is a little better. We have a 2.7% increase to $135,546 compared to $131,955. So that looks a little better. Hope that First and Penny shows some increase too for the remainder of the year.
That percentage increase again, Marilyn,
For
For the
entertainment, 2.7.
What did we predict for increase on the sales tax? Is that 2%?
2% for 14 for First and Second Penny, and same for Third Penny, 2%.
So if this holds true, and I realize we have a lot of year to go, how much short are we going to be?
Well, last year, I adjusted during budget time, and we ended up a lot closer than we did, with the original budget amount. So I'll do the same thing this year, but looks like the trend looks like it's going to continue to decrease at budget time. I will put 14s in, at a lesser amount.
right.
And we did hold more in reserve this year, at least on paper. Whether that money appears to be held in reserve is another question. But
This is for January, February, March, is that right?
Yes.
I look at it this way, I'm glad we almost held our own on account of that we had one of the coldest spells ever and for the weather forecast, and we all stayed inside. We didn't buy a lot of things. We stayed inside. It was cold, so I'm comfortable with this. Hopefully it warms up now and go outside and buy something.
And that the entertainment tax was up. We were longing to be out doing something to entertain ourselves. So.
We're inviting more people to come.
As we go into the summer, construction gonna hurt?
That's always a question, and, we always have some form of construction going on. The last 2 years, the interstate, and we felt that probably hurt us as a result, so hopefully that will pick up. But then, of course, we've got the Corn Palace itself is going to look like it's maybe closed, so how is that going to impact it? So it's tough to measure 1 year to the next because not one is ever consistent with the other. But the year before last, 2012, we had both, let's see, the one side, I think it was the south side of the interstate, and then also Burr Street coming in. And that's our individuals that are handhavers. Yeah. We're able to hang in there, so. And, and this could, it's $4,000 off. Just some quick math, 2% on the 1.1, is going to be around $20,000, what we're expecting to increase. So we're not talking huge dollars, but yep, they are, as Danny said, we're going to have to watch it and just kind of monitor it. So.
Well, and the other thing is, and of course, I'm just looking at my crystal ball, but people will come. And then if they don't buy as much at the Corn Palace, or if they drive by the Corn Palace, you still have them for the gas, you still have them for the lunch and that kind of thing. So we may see it in Corn Palace receipts when we go through that, but you might not see it in entertainment tax.
The entertainment tax, can we attribute, I'm sure we can, some of that to our hockey arena, I think, those kind of things that
Yeah, and to us, every time you go out, you pay an entertainment tax, just locally.
I would certainly think it would have had to
It
have.
had to help with all that, too. This was, I think, what was different this year than last year, for example, so.
All right, any other questions or comments for Marilyn? And we normally do this quarterly because if you look at it monthly, they can be that. So typically a quarter is kind of a better way of looking at it, because then you don't get hung up with the numbers of what happened this month. We better start pulling back, or we got more money to go ahead. So that's what we've kind of done is gone from quarter to quarter.
Well,
if Maryland sees something
It
that looks scratchy,
fluctuates dramatically from month to month.
right? You can have 1 month, you can have basically a 5-week month, just the way that it lands, because you probably get a certain time during the week. And so some months, even though, it could be 5 weeks this year and the next year, they give it to you in 4 weeks, just the way the calendar lands. So.
Or you have a hail month,
There you go.
and then it looks like you could spend like drunken savings.
All right, anything else for the committee? Not entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. All right.
Okay, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have someone from Grace Baptist here for invocation? Apparently not. Guess it's not on it, but we'll have roll. Roll call, please.
Jerks?
Here.
Barrington? Rice?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Allen?
Here.
Dosher?
Here.
Olson?
Here.
Tronis?
Here.
Having a quorum, we will convene the meeting. Councilman Barrington is in Pier today. His daughter is participating in the state golf tournament. Approve the consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Anything that anyone would like to remove?
Mayor, I would like to remove letter H. On a positive note.
And I don't have something that I wanted to remove, but I did want to comment on Palace Transit's ridership report. I know that Jessica's not here, but for the first time in a while, we're seeing an improvement, which is positive.
I think we've come the 12-month cycle from when it changed and the law changed, so now you're going to be looking at 12 months to 12 months, so month to month of the same type of rules
Well,
from here on out.
okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
But even at that.
Even at that,
Yeah.
it didn't
I
go,
mean, you
didn't
know,
go down from
right.
once the rules have changed.
I mean, we had a fluctuation, but overall, the total ridership was up by.
Joe is here to make a comment.
Oh, great.
Hello. I do want to comment that we did have the Boy Scout Jamboree at the end of June, so that helped. That helped our numbers tremendously, so I'm glad to see that you noticed. So that was a big part of what our numbers were. And we are going to start doing the lunch programs, 29th of this month. So hopefully we continue to see an increase. But yeah, it has, in July, it'll be 1 year since the same day rule went into effect.
And how are your summer passes going?
I think we've sold 8 so far, which is good. It's a start.
It's a start. And, you know, maybe once this whole year is out and kids are getting going and word spreads,
Right.
that will increase.
We've had a lot of people comment that they're waiting to get their schedules nailed down, and then they will contact us as well.
Right,
So,
right.
thank you.
And you know, for people watching and listening, the federal government changed the rules. We used to be able to take somebody who would call, I call at noon, I want to go to Coburn's at 2 o'clock, and we would pick them up, and now there has to be a 24-hour notice. We cannot directly compete with local taxi services. So if you want to use Palace Transit, you need to be organized and call the day before.
Anything else by council?
I don't have anything I want to remove, but I've got some questions. On page 33, the Mac Addition project still says we have 131,000 ending balance, and Dusty, I know there was Dusty's out. Are we close to knowing what that is all wrapping up to be, or timeline?
Yeah, in a short answer, yes. Actually, I've scheduled a meeting with Marilyn tomorrow, to kind of go over the numbers,
Finish out what
Yeah.
there is left to pay or buy?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then on page 35, under health insurance, I see we're down another 16,649. And I know we made an adjustment last year. Is there enough information? Are we going to have to make another adjustment? Do we have any idea, or that will be discussed during budget?
We'll probably discuss it during budget. Our advisors at Dakota Care feel like the usage will
level off.
Will go down and level off.
Okay. Another, and maybe Lyndon, another question, page 37. Last year, we issued 245 parking tickets in April, and this year we issued 41. Was that the blizzard?
Yep, more than likely. That would be a difference.
A difference of 200 parking tickets in 1 month?
Yeah, one blizzard could be anywhere from 80 to 100 parking tickets. Yep.
And lots of questions today. I see we ran the water distribution system on 2 days. If I remember, that's the first time this year. Is there a specific reason that we ran it? Other than just to see if it still works?
We run it occasionally.
We haven't run it this year. I went through back all the notes, and there was never a Lake Mitchell influent number from January.
Okay.
I was just wondering, was it time to run it?
We try to run the plant every so often, okay? I'm not down there every day, so I don't know how
And
often,
that-
but.
maybe that's my
yeah.
answer, but I just,
But we try to run it just in case if we do need to run it, we know that everything's working, so.
Would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
with the removal of item 8?
Pardon?
With the removal of,
Yes, with H removed. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to have anything removed from the consent agenda? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Olson?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Rice?
Aye.
Jarks?
Aye.
Dosher?
Aye.
Tronis?
Aye.
Allen?
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens input, if you need to address the mayor or members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time.
Hi, I'm Jessica Steidel, and I'm a resident of the city of Mitchell. And I'm here today to express my concern with the operation of the Mitchell's Activity Center. I've been in contact with Mitchell Recreation Center along with Park and Recreation Board. And I've been informed that over the past years, the ice facility has been leased to MSHA, with MSHA paying roughly 45% of the costs associated with the facility, leaving the taxpayer to pay the additional 55%. What concerns me today is the operation of the facility for the summer ice from April 1st, 2014 to July 31st of 2014. In my possession, I have a copy of the lease agreement, and I am passing out copies to you. Paragraph 2 of this agreement states that MSHA agrees to pay the city total rent in the amount of $24,000 for the term of April 1 through July 31st. I was on the MSHA board at the time that this agreement was drafted and was informed as a board member that in the event the costs associated with the facility were to exceed $24,000, then MSHA would be expected to pay the balance, thus supporting the operation of the facility 100% for summer ice. I've spoken with Park and Recreation officials, and I have been informed of the same. However, in reading the agreement, it does not indicate who will pay the excess costs over $24,000. So I'm asking you, City Council, could you please tell us, the taxpayers, who plans to pay that bill? Paragraph 17 of the agreement states that the city and MSHA shall jointly cooperate to achieve maximum level of joint utilization of the facility, possible within the needs of the respective entities. The Director of Mitchell Parks and Rec and the President of MSHA shall each designate a person to coordinate the use of the facility. Could you please tell the taxpayers who the person responsible for achieving a maximum level of joint utilization is for the city and for Mitchell Skating Association? I have contacted a few city officials about my concern for the summer ice agreement and have been informed that the city has no rights to the ice while this agreement is in effect. However, in reading this paragraph, it appears that the city of Mitchell may have some flexibility. Is it correct that for the period of April 1st to July 31st that MSHA has exclusive use of the ice facility? The Mitchell Ice Arena has been empty for the most part on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday since April 1st. In reviewing the schedule, it appears that in most circumstances the lights have even been off and the doors have been locked for 3 days. Looking at the scheduling, I urge the city officials of Mitchell to take a closer look at the scheduling and how the rink is being utilized. According to the rink schedule, the rink's been utilized from 5:30 to 8:15 Monday through Thursday only since April 1st.
Does the city consider this maximum level of joint utilization of the facility? I am aware that public open skate will be in effect on Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting June 3rd. I've listed all the dates there for you. It's only 10 days. The time for the public skate is from 1 to 3. These hours are great for the kids that have the ability to get to the rink on their own, or for families that are not dual working. In viewing the schedule, it appears that the rink is not utilized again, Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays throughout the entire summer. Even this 1 to 3, if you have small ones at home, that's during nap time. Can the city work with MSHA to provide recreational skating to the general public in the form of open skate at a more convenient, family-oriented time? Paragraph 4 of this agreement states that MSHA shall oversee and coordinate the scheduling for the facility and maintain a master schedule. As a taxpayer, I'm concerned with one user group having the ability to schedule the rink and keep the best interests of all user groups at bay, especially the city of Mitchell. I am concerned that the maximum level of joint utilization may not occur. One example, April 22nd, May 6th, and May 20th. At the time of setting up MSHA recreational skating program, I was the coordinator. I put together a spring session that spanned from April 1st to May 20th, from 5:45 to 6:45. I was approached by an additional user group that expressed the need in the ice on the above respected dates. Since figure skating registration had not begun, I indicated that I'd be willing to adjust our times on these 3 dates to allow a hockey camp to utilize the ice from 6 to 7. On the registration that went out to the public prior to my departure, it indicated that lessons would be either at 4:45 or 7:15 on those respective dates. After the departure of figure skating program from MSHA, figure skating requested to utilize the ice for the same 8 weeks from 7 to 9 at a cost of $100 an hour. The program was only authorized to have the ice for 5 weeks, as MSHA program was going to have their lessons at 7:15 to 8:15 instead of 4:45, thus missing out on an opportunity to obtain $600 of additional income to support the summer ice program. This is one of the many situations that have occurred since April 1st of 2014, and I would be willing to share the rest with anyone that may be interested. In conclusion, this brings me to the first question. In the event that this operation of this facility exceeds $24,000, who's going to pay the excess? If in fact MSHA pays for 100% of the cost to run the MAC facility, I can overlook the deficiencies on the operations. However, if taxpayer dollars will be expended on this facility from April 1st to July 31st, as a taxpayer that has no interest in the hockey program, I do not agree that taxpayer dollars should be used to supplement the hockey program in Mitchell. I believe this question needs to be addressed sooner than later while the city still has the ability to be proactive on this situation. According to paragraph 8 of the agreement, the city shall not be entitled, without fee or charge or other consideration to MSHA, any scheduled hours of recreational skating during the off-season. I am requesting that the city of Mitchell determine who will be covering any additional expenses above the $24,000. If the city has the intent to do so, I am requesting that the city exercise the right to utilize the rink and consider this other considerations to MSHA. I hope that the city can find resolve on this matter quickly. There are many families that enjoy skating together and should have the opportunities to utilize this rink. As an advocate for the sport of skating, I am willing to assist the city in exploring any options that may be available. Thank you for your time.
Well, you've posed a number of questions, and I don't know that we would have the time to address those tonight. I don't know if Dusty or Doug, I see, is here, want to make any comment tonight. If you think it's best to put it on the agenda.
I would say if someone wants this to be put on the agenda, they should request it, and then we have the ability of people that can come and make comments on it. So
I think that's the best way to address your concerns.
Okay, is there a way to get any of these questions answered after the meeting, like interim, just on the phone, or do you want to answer these at the next city council meeting? Is that what you're?
I was suggesting that we put
Okay.
it on the agenda for the next council meeting.
Okay, I'm just not sure how all this works, so, okay.
In 2 weeks, we will meet again.
These are great questions, but unless you're absolutely familiar with the operations, it's not something we could begin to answer tonight, but they're excellent questions, and you presented it very well. It's one of the best presentations I've seen.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay.
I may, I'd just like to comment on the issue Ms. Steitel brought up. My name is Doug Daly. I'm the president of the Mitchell Skating and Hockey Association. Ms. Steitel is actually operating the Mitchell Figure Skating Academy. They ran their program through the Mitchell Skating and Hockey Association for the last year and have made the decision to go out on their own. We have been making all attempts to try to work with Ms. Steitel and the Figure Skating Association. These matters have been discussed by the Park and Rec Board, who is in charge of this particular matter. As far as I'm concerned, these discussions continue to be ongoing with the Park and Rec Association. And so that's where I think the issue should be handled, to be honest with you. So.
Okay.
Evening, folks. My name is Cecil Wilson. I live at 817 West 2nd Avenue. I want to make a complaint. My neighbor's running a business out of his house, well, rental, and he parks his equipment on the road, streets. They're all the time, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and a half. I've already called the police. He told me I had to call my councilman, which I did this morning. He's at 817 West 2nd Avenue. And I've complained about it, and he told me, he said there's not much we can do about it. And I'd like to see something get done about it.
Okay.
Trailers, where you run your bobcats up on, closed-in trailer, it's dump truck, and people can't park nowhere.
I will take a look at that and consult with the police and see what remedies may be available.
Well, last time, what he told me, he said, well, we can give him a ticket.
I will consult with the police, see what remedies may be available.
We'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public input? Members of the council, have anything? I just have a couple of comments. First of all, our city attorney experienced a bit of an accident over the weekend. He was flying a single-engine plane that he had recently purchased in Wisconsin, flying it back to Mitchell, and I understand at about 2,500 feet, the engine stalled, and Carl was in a bind. And he attempted to return to the airport that he had recently, or 15 miles out, and wasn't able to make it. He saw a field that he hoped that he could reach and land in that, but the engine lost power, and he went down in some trees, and which, according to his explanation, maybe was a good thing because the trees somewhat broke the fall, and but at any rate, the plane went down, nose dived, and Carl, as you can observe, struck his head on something in the plane and kind of peeled his scalp back, so he's had quite a number of stitches. He was able to get out, exit the plane, and walked a short distance, and some passerbys picked him up, and he had called his daughter, who and wife had dropped him off, and they were returning, and he informed them. They got a hold of the local sheriff, and the ambulance came out and got Carl and got him patched up, but he looks like a pretty nasty wound that he's sustained, but we're fortunate that he's not only with us at all, but certainly here tonight, and he didn't want me to really mention anything about it, so. But I thought it might raise a question or two from.
Hey, Carl, did you get your money back?
What's that?
Did you get your money back, plane?
No, but it wasn't a real expensive airplane. It was supposed to have been a old man's hobby putt-putt airplane. But I did stall it just as I reached the top of the tree so it would fall through, and it did what I was expecting it to do. And but for bumping my head, I don't have a bruise on me.
You're fortunate, Carl. And the other thing that I wanted to mention as a reminder, our assistant chief is Leon Beyer is retiring at the end of this week on Friday, and we're going to have a public open house from 2 to 5 on Friday at the Public Safety Building. But I just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Leon for his dedicated service over quite a number of years for the Mitchell Department, and we wish him well in his retirement. Thank you, Leon. Next, the committee reports, Public Health and Safety.
Public Health and Safety met at 7 o'clock. We had one item on the agenda, Heart and Soul Cancer Walk fireworks permit. Motion to approve the fireworks permit pending no burn ban. We adjourned at 7:03.
Traffic Commission met tonight, regular session. We had 3 items on the agenda. First was a request from DWU for a parade permit for the homecoming parade September 20th, 2014. We'll run from 10 a.m. to 12 noon approximately. We'll go from Main Street to Railroad, and we'll take a detour from 7th over to Raleigh and then back onto Main. And that was approved. Next, we had a request from the Heart and Soul Cancer Walk for a closure of 8th Street from Minnesota Street to Iowa Street and the Cadwell entrance to 8th Street on Friday, June 20th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Cancer Walk Run, and that was approved. And then we had a request for a stop or yield sign at 10th and Edmonds, and it was approved to place a yield sign for north-south traffic at 10th and Edmonds. That's all.
Finance?
Okay, Finance meeting committee met this evening at 7:18. And one item on the agenda was the sales tax collections for the first quarter of 2014. Maryland reported that the first and second penny sales tax was down very slightly in the first quarter compared to last year, 0.37%. Each penny brought in $1,132,000 compared to $1,136,000 last year. The committee talked about making sure that we just keep our eye on things, and Marilyn said that she would report if there's any large deviations that she sees between the quarters that's reported to the council. And on a positive note, our entertainment tax actually was up 2.7% and went from $132,000 up to $135,000 in 2014. And so that obviously was positive. Both of the sales tax had a budget increase that the city council put in for 2014 of 2%. So we will monitor this as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
And the committee then adjourned at 7:26.
And the item on the consent agenda related to Leon's retirement, if we want to.
And the only reason I pulled that off is you've already thanked him, and Leon is, I know you spent several years in law enforcement, and not all in Mitchell. I remember you stating at Parkston and around. So again, the number of years you spent with us, you've done an extremely great job. We did a realignment a few years ago, and Lyndon thought that you were the right person to put in charge of the police department, and I think you made an excellent choice, and wish you well in your retirement. And that's the reason I pulled it off.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I will make that motion.
Second.
A motion and second to wish Leon well on his retirement, and I think there's an item there regarding his badge and firearm. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. A discussion, program and future plans update for the Mitchell Housing Authority.
Hi, I'm Tammy Frost, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mitchell Housing Authority. And I was asked to come and just let you guys know what is going on right now with the Housing Authority. We also have Meadow Lawn Plaza, which was built in 1972. It was originally constructed with 124 units. Right now, we have 112. We did some conversion of units to accommodate our tenants that had wheelchairs and needed a larger apartment. We have 3 full-time staff, 1 part-time staff. We are governed by a 5-member board consisting of Rich Platt, Cindy Hockett, Greg Bowie, Doug Daly, and Amy Hildebrandt. Our liaison to the council is Randy Dosher. He attends our monthly board meetings also. Through our office, we also administer the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher. It's an application process. We give preference to displaced, elderly, handicapped, and disabled, and families with children. There are currently 122 people on our waiting list. This program allows our participants to go out into the private sector, rent a unit of their choice, as long as it meets housing quality standards and financially qualifies. And we have payment standards that are set based on fair market rents. Mitchell Housing Authority is also the property manager for the new Mitchell townhomes that are being built. It's a 31-unit complex. It's under construction. It is actually located out on West 8th with 31 units, 16 2-bedroom units, 15 3-bedroom units, and 3 of those units meet total ADA requirements. The first building, which consists of 8 units, should be ready to have tenants move in approximately the 17th of June, which the other 3 buildings are staggered in construction and should be coming within a month or 2 right behind it. Meadow Lawn Plaza recently applied for a tax credit through the South Dakota Housing Development Authority. We were unfortunately turned down, but I do want to publicly thank all of you that wrote letters on our behalf to support us, and we'll be back and do it again. So we'll be knocking at your door again. Meadow Lawn Plaza also has applied for RAD, which is a rental assistance demonstration through the HUD program. What it does is it gives we get different funding that we're currently getting right now as a public housing authority to help do major upgrades. Our upgrades that we're looking to do are windows, roof, and plumbing. That is our biggest concerns right now. They set a cap on it for 60,000 units, and we are about 64,039. So we're right up there. HUD is proposing to raise the cap in the near future, and so we should be okay getting in there at that time. So I just want to thank you for your time, and if you guys ever want a tour or come on over, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First, how do people get off the waiting list? Does somebody literally have to die before they move up?
Actually, we have off the waiting list for the voucher program. We have to have funding available. Vouchers, we have plenty of, but the funding is the issue right now. I just talked to our accountant the other day, and right now, if we stay where we're at with the number of people we have on, based on the amount of funding we're using per individual, we'll have enough money just to make it through the year. But what happens is people will move or they won't qualify anymore. They'll get employment because we are an income-based program, that we won't need to make payments on their behalf anymore, and then we call more up at that time. But right now, we're just maintaining.
And the other question I have is about Meadowlawn. I forget what the cost was, but there was some ungodly figure to renovate the building that was mentioned a number of meetings ago. Where are we at with that? I mean, are we in danger of falling out of code? Are we in danger of throwing people out of substandard apartments, or?
No, we applied for the RAD program, and that will help. That's what the program is designed to do. Because on a national level, most of the public housing facilities were constructed around the same time period. A lot of them are running into construction needs similar, all at the same time. So HUD came out with the RAD program, and I will be happy to email you the link, Mel, if you would like it, to tell you more about it. But what it does is it actually takes us out of the public housing sector, and we would be more like a Section 8 landlord. Still income-based for our tenants, but HUD would compensate us for the money we don't receive in capital funds. So our biggest issue is the plumbing. So that's what we're that was why we applied for it. We are the only housing authority in the state of South Dakota that did apply for it. So hopefully that will be in our favor when they raise the cap. So any other questions? And I'd like to thank Randy for participating in our meetings. He brings a lot of wealth to our meetings and makes it good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Entertain a motion to approve the, we didn't do that yet?
Nope. Committee reports, no.
Do you approve the committee reports?
So moved.
Motion second to approve the committee reports. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Entertain a motion for the city council to adjourn and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to sit on the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of June 2nd, 2014 for hearing on the application of John Hallman for a front yard variance of 20 feet versus 35 feet to construct a new accessory building located at 1706 West Fifth Avenue, legally described as all of Block 17, Home Park Original Edition, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Set the date. Second.
Motion second, set the date. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. A hearing on the application of Erica Elwine for a conditional use permit to operate a daycare in her home located at 808 East Fifth Avenue, legally described as Lot 9, Block 8, FM Greens Edition, City of Mitchell.
If I could direct your attention to the Planning Commission minutes, the unapproved Planning Commission minutes, and you would see that the Planning Commission did hold a hearing on this request and has made a recommendation to you with two conditions. One, that the application is not transferable, and that if the business ceases for a period of 6 months or longer, then a new application would be required. There was no neighborhood opposition to this whatsoever, so, and unless there's somebody here who wishes to comment on it.
Move to approve with the conditions.
Second.
Motion second to approve the application for the conditional use permit. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session. Okay.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Award bids, Corn Palace renovation project 2013-12.
All right, if you want to turn your page to 64. We had our bid for the Corn Palace Phase 1 project on May 14th. We had 2 bidders, and both these bidders were local. Total base bid price for Muller Lumber was $3,952,042. Pitts Corp was $4,270,000. And then we had some alternates, and we had 1 add-on. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through what the base bid included, and then we're going to go through some of these alternates. And after the bid, we sat down and discussed how our numbers came through, and then we went to discuss all these numbers with the Corn Palace Committee, and came up with some recommendations that we are going to talk to you guys about tonight. So Eric, I'll have you get started.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Eric Hamill, representing MSR Design in Minneapolis. And again, always a pleasure to be here talking about the Corn Palace, the world's only Corn Palace, with you. So Terry proposes that we look and see what is part of the project. This is first the timeline that we're operating under, where we've bisected the time for construction by a little timeout for the Corn Palace Festival in mid to late August. As you're aware, we're trying to have the doors open and the facility functional for concerts and other events in the vicinity during the festival. And then the idea is to go again into the construction mode and hopefully complete the work as soon as possible, but we put a drop dead on that of April 3rd, 2015. This is the overall site plan where you can see generally a variety of notes that are trying to indicate where there's different closures of streets and traffic control, staging areas for construction and so forth. Terry, any highlights that you want to mention?
Just a reminder, this is where we're mainly going to store equipment. We are going to close down this whole block.
Is that on Main Street?
This is on Main Street, yeah.
The idea is that the visitors this summer will be entering the Corn Palace on the south face, going directly into the arena auditorium and out that way. We are going to always maintain at least one of the concession stands for access because of that vital cash flow. And then during the Corn Palace Festival, we're hoping that the toilet rooms that you all know in the lobby are back online for that event as well. Terry, did we finally elect to keep a toilet room open through the summer?
No.
We're going to be okay. We're going to be out on the street in porta potties or other facilities around town on that. This is a close-up of one of the little schemes to keep the concession stands open throughout the summer. We have to have a loop of circulation so people are safe in there, and some control, some line of demarcation between construction activities and the safe area for visitors. So the idea is that construction activities will by and large toggle back and forth in the lobby in order to keep access open.
Can you tell us what we're looking at there?
Yeah, I'd love to. Okay, so we're looking at the northernmost part of the Corn Palace lobby, where Terry just had the little red dot is a concession stand. Is that? Yep. And then a men's toilet room directly across the way there. And so you have your north corridor, and then those are the stairs up to the second level seating. We're keeping that loop open just in case we don't want a dead end back in there in the concession stands. So, and similarly on the south, so again, in like manner, there's a concession stand to the right, women's toilet room to the left, and that just shows how we can keep that open. So let's move forward.
One quick note here is what we were looking at, and my little pen pointer ran out, but on the south concession stand, there's a little storage area behind there. We are going to be doing some talks tomorrow about that's the location where we're going to put our box office. We looked at trying to put it outside, but trying to figure out a shack, a trailer, or something outside that if it's raining or snowing, it'd be a good place. And then, you know, with the having to run wires out on the street into the little shed. So we're going to be looking tomorrow is this you know, okay place to put our box office for a temporary time being? Because the first door, as you see that first door on the left side, that is the bigger accordion door that we will be putting in as part of this project. Then the next two doors are the doors that we will be using for operation for people to come into the Corn Palace. So if we could have something right there, we could help control people that are buying tickets and then people that have tickets to where we could scan them and have them go through to a concert or a you know event.
This will be like this during the whole month of December too?
We're hoping, as we move through the progress, the majority of the work is going to happen in that front lobby where the new box office is. We are concerned about basketball season to try to get at least the box office open as soon as we can and try to get some sort of corridor. And we're going to be working with the contractor to try to push the contractor to get a box office open as soon as we can and a main corridor coming in. So we're going to have to keep continuing. As we work through this project, we're going to work with the contractor to try to get a plan where we could get that open as soon as we can. But this is on a temporary basis until this happens.
Okay, so the overall exterior image of the Corn Palace with the new domes and turrets, expanded murals on the west face, one on the south face at the main corner, balcony on top of the existing vestibule canopy. You can see there's a glass rail there and some folks standing up on there. 3 glass windows where the small corn murals have been to date to let light into the lobby and activate that space. And there's a door in one of those windows, the one on the right, that allows people to go up onto the top of the canopy and use it as the balcony. So we'll quickly fire through these, focusing on the various parts. Domes and turrets on the top. And the good news, we've got a great subcontractor on that work, MG McGrath from St. Paul. This is a small project for them, so we expect it to be done very handily. And then the lighting for the domes, we're currently carrying in the price as well. There's an alternate to delete that. We'll get into that a little bit further, but that became quite an important part for the community. So the dome and turret lighting, domes primarily are the activated parts, and mural lighting are going to be maintained. Tile veneer on the base. We did this custom pattern kind of to recall the corn palaces of old with a little modern twist. This shifting pattern over the side in 12-inch by 12-inch tiles. We had mock-ups made for that. They're quite lovely. However, this is a piece of the project that we're looking to defer for the time being in order to manage the cost and keep on budget. Expanded murals are in the plan, and I believe we're also going to meet with that with the corn decorating folks and talk about those expanded canvases for the annual murals. Lighting also continues. It was expanded. The lighting that rings those murals is expanded to continue that tradition. Here are a couple items. VAWTs are, of course, we're in the land of wind here. Vertical axis wind turbines, and so we thought. Just like flags and other filigree on the roof in this era, to have something that's sort of emblematic of the energy harvesting that's happening down here on the wind plain of South Dakota and southwest Minnesota would be really a great message to send. This is a piece that is easy to plug in and play now or later, and in order to get on our budget, we're proposing or recommending that these 7 turbines are deferred. We'll try and price them again in phase 2 would be the idea. Oh, and then Terry, if you could back up. Down there in the lower left, Terry referred to this as an accordion door. That's pretty darn accurate. It's there are 3 panels, but they all push over to the side such that you can let larger objects in and out of the lobby. They're glass so that you bring some natural daylight into that corner of the lobby, which is a little dark. And we're happy that that's a fairly cost-effective aspect of the project to do that. Primary building signage, we'd like to bring it a little bit closer back to its original roots, returning it to actual annual decorating was a no-starter. The desire to have something that you didn't require a lift to go up over the balcony and what's been described as a difficult task will be maintained as building materials for signage, but we're trying to bring back a sense of how the font might have looked, or the text would have looked in yesteryear, and a little panache that way. And it's we have 4 spotlights on it. And it's going to be the letters will be shiny, so they'll be illuminated by their own reflectance as opposed to being backlit or the red letters that you find on so many signage pieces, whether it's Corn Palaces or shopping centers or whatnot. So we're trying to do something distinct for the Corn Palace here. And there'll be some lighting across the street that actually shine on the signage as well. Okay, so the columns outside used to be decorated, and the 4... Yes.
About the sign?
Yes.
I noticed that the sign says the world's only Mitchell Corn Palace. Is that how it will be labeled? It's not just the world's only Corn Palace, it's now the world's only Mitchell Corn Palace, or it's not Mitchell's?
Only Corn Palace in Mitchell.
Yeah, it's a great,
I just am curious, the word Mitchell, I can appreciate
Sure.
that, but I'm wondering why.
That's a great question. I find that these types of things are always works in progress, and as you get closer to doing them, the scrutiny of what is correct heightens, so it's appropriate to have this sort of conversation. What we found, so our position is this, that what we found looking back at all the Corn Palaces is that traditionally they, for most of the years, said Mitchell Corn Palace. And then in homage to the sort of positioning of the Corn Palace in marketing and branding and travel and so forth, the world's only is added in smaller. We actually, for a long time, this is an example of dialing it in closer. For a long time, we were carrying it was a little bit of a joke, but the world's onlyest, according. But we figured that as we get closer, that's probably going to fall by the wayside. So if there is critique of this, as a group, we should, air it, and it's an appropriate time to get closer to what we want. It's the correct message. Okay, so the columns on the exterior, there are 4. Were part of the whole original agenda of making this sort of a Renaissance-looking palace. And they used to be decorated with corn and other, vegetative materials, and that fell by the wayside as well. And so now, currently, they're fairly diagrammatic columns with big, chunky tops and bases. And what we've done is we've designed a column that's has more of the proportion of classical columns, and has at the capital, which is the top of the column, a reference to corn. This actually is a pattern that's used in I cannot remember, it's a certain gallery or 4-chamber in the U.S. Capitol. in Washington, D.C., using that same corn motif. So that is, the idea is to do something a little bit more classically proportioned out on the front. It'll add a lot of refinement. Yeah, the word refined is up there. Refined the exterior. Okay, the balcony and windows. The windows are really going to really liven the interior, and in fact, on the exterior, because of the lighting scheme that we're planning on the inside, it's going to add some depth and animation to the street at night, looking at the Corn Palace. It's going to be a little bit more inviting. In our aspirations, we wanted to have arched windows as well, but it turns out that the third floor cuts through the tops of the windows, and so that's why they're squared off at the top. The balcony, too, as I mentioned, is connected to the second floor, and the connecting link to the balcony opens up to the vestibule space below.
If I could add a real quick one. When we were talking to contractors that were bidding on this, they were really glad to see the big doors, big windows going in here, because it was one of the access points they had to bring equipment into the second and third floors, and then to try to get debris material out from those same levels. So it added almost as a piece to help with construction.
This is the reconfiguration of the vestibule coming into the building. As you see, the existing box office, which would be in the just to the. It would, if the box office were in this view, it would be just to the left of that yellow column, leftmost yellow column. That's the center line of the building. So instead of there, on the center, we're going to have doors. No, actually, I apologize, folks. The current box office would be between the two yellow columns. That's the center line. And so we're putting it off into the one to the side, on the south side. The bridge I mentioned to get to the balcony is right over the lid of that box office, and you're seeing a guy in a cowboy hat there on really what's the name of that corridor up there? The scary corridor is what the creepy hallway. So that instead of the creepy hallway up there, it's open to the lobby like this. So it really should be quite a great connection. And what's important about this, it's probably the next slide, is it ties to where we plan or propose to exhibit the bulk of the Oscar Howe maquettes for the murals. So the idea is to take them from this space and from other space in the Corn Palace and really treat it like a gallery experience, because the work is fine and it should be celebrated and elevated. So we also feel that that is a way to really activate the second level, have a purpose for visitors come to step up to the second level. We're providing that elevator to get up there. It will do some interpretive signage so people know what they're looking at. And I think it's going to be, there's a light rail above the images on the wall to illuminate them as well. We think that's going to be wonderful. Then there's glass rails on the balcony edge looking over into the vestibule, and then you'll see the ceiling has a vaulted appearance to it. It's a gypboard and painted vault to work in concert with the windows, and then hanging from the center of that is a series of little round kind of points of light in glass, and then what we're calling the silks. They're spirally metal objects, so you'll have these little niblet-like light fixtures and silks hanging down in a sculptural manner into the space, kind of a chandelier, if you will. That's another view of that you can kind of just see the outline of the surfaces and lines a little bit better without the color or the photographs on the wall. Now down on the main lobby, it's a compressed space in the center because of a series of ductwork that reaches toward where the box offices today, but it doesn't serve that box office. It takes a hook and goes vertical up to the second level, and that ducting has to stay. So what we've devised is sculpting the ceiling under that ductwork, so it's not just an abrupt kind of lower ceiling, but is a more fluid shape that pulls the whole space into sort of a continuous flow. And without that box office there to interrupt the middle of the space as well, it should feel quite broad and spacious, and hopefully that will be well used for queuing events and pre-function sort of things and after events as well. Let me also say, Terry, on that what we're shopping for is the perfect photograph of a cornfield to go on that wall. And we, as a committee, have been looking at a variety of images, and what we've determined is that we need to find a South Dakota cornfield, and we need to find a South Dakota photographer. So that's what's on the plate right now. And the extension, pardon? Oh, no, it's Minnesota, aren't you? Yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
don't even
No, we were talking to a photographer who said that Iowa corn was the best, but I can't say that's the truth. Anyway, so we've got that project underway to find a mural, and it'll be printed on a corn. Well, it's an interesting process. It's a plastic laminate panel that's printed on the typical kind of wood pulp paper, but it's printed with soy ink on a corn-based film and applied to that, and then there's a quartz layer that's put on top. So there's a little corn storyline in the product that actually will be printed on as well. In the foreground, I should also say, are these, it's another object item that was on our potential alternate deduct list, was the tile for these column covers. You can see the column wraps are slightly corncob shaped with a tile that kind of delighted us because of its small kernel aspect, and what we're recommending keeping the price of that tile in the project. We can talk about that a little bit more, but the committee has also challenged the architecture team to put a little variegation of color in those columns, not too much, but just to keep it from being a uniform yellow. And we're gonna, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay, so to the alternates, and on this part, I think if I run through them quickly, then I think that we would be ready for your questions about the course of action. So alternate one, which we are proposing to take, is to get, well, did we say that we're trying to get from 3.9 range down to,
we didn't say that, but
okay.
When we got the bids, we saw the 3.9 and felt that we could do the 3.9, but we would have no contingency whatsoever. So we started looking at what alternative deducts we could get, and what we wanted to do is try to get down to that 3.6 million. 3.6 million would give us 10% contingency. Now, if we ended up to where we didn't need a contingency, or we didn't use as much of that, we could roll that contingency money over as part of your guys' request and permission over to phase 2, and then we could possibly still do some of these projects in phase 2. With any project, it's great to have a contingency, and that's why we looked at what are some of the different options that we could possibly do at a later time, or maybe not even do. But these are some options that we are going to make a recommendation to you guys, and then we could talk about it and go from there. So I'll have Eric go through what these alternates are, and a lot of these alternates are ones that we've already discussed, so we'll go through them real quick.
Okay. And then we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. So alternate 1 consists of deleting those 7 vertical axis wind turbines. It has a price tag of approximately, I don't know all the prices to rote, but yeah, around 50K. So It's not the hugest item, but it's also a piece that's easy to add at will. We also proposed finding out the cost for deleting the exterior lighting in case we had cost overruns. And that piece we're recommending leaving in the project. Alternate 3, deleting the corn turrets. We've heard that the domes are going to be the primary splashy element and that the turrets are well liked as well, but just as a relief valve, we found out the cost of what it would take, what it would provide us if we needed to remove them.
So we're planning on keeping this one.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the turret?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our costs, our bidding was good in relative terms, that we didn't have to fetch that far. Also, to be maintained was the option to delete the new sign package.
Well, we felt for the price that we got on this sign, they're going to have to build it according to our plans and specs, and we had a good price for the sign, so we're planning on keeping the sign.
Okay. Alternate number 5 was proposing to delete the exterior tile base. And as much as we like it, it is approximately a $300,000 item, or was it with the 263.68 with the Mueller bid? It's a big chunk of money that got us to where we felt we needed to be. So we thought that that maybe if folks are looking skyward at the skyline, that the brick base as is neutral, and that we could live to tell and try again in phase 2. We talked about this one for a while, alternate number 6. Now, this is a little confounding. What this alternate is to keep the shape, but in lieu of legitimate tile, that it would be a texture on the surface of the columns that had this kernel appearance. So tactily, you would be able to tell the difference. It might even sound a little plasticky when you knocked on it if it was the alternate. But we wanted to understand if we were just doing something that was capricious, or whether we could validate its price in comparison to an alternate. And we're proposing that that this is it's important to have that feeling of authenticity of a real tile, that really elevates the lobby, that it's real tile.
So we're going to keep this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alternate number 7, to reduce vestibule lighting. Now, to be sure, there is we have some fixtures that aren't on the table here that are just ambient lighting for the space. We just have to have certain light levels. They're they're the workhorse fixtures. The fixtures we're talking about are 60 of these sort of points of light, glass fixtures on a pendant. The alternate was looking at the price of 30 as opposed to 60, so it wasn't a removal completely, but a reduction. And we did not edit the silks at all on that. And we found, what was the savings, about $11,000?
$11,000. So we're going to keep this one.
Mm-hmm. Alternate number 8 was looking at the new proposed unisex or family restrooms, replacing the ones that are currently not in use on south and north sides of level 2. So the idea was, well, you don't have them today, so what if you put it off and did not do them? But what we've heard is a lot of support for those toilet rooms. So we're recommending that we stay the course and keep new restrooms in those locations in the project. And that was.
Are those handicap accessible as well?
They're family, yeah, they're
They would.
handicap and family restrooms.
Yeah, I apologize.
They would be, yeah. This one's slightly confusing too. Alternate number 9, delete felt wall finish. Well, the light yellow color that you see on the wall was a thick felt material. Well, the committee has already decided that maybe the felt material was too vulnerable to the attack of young, roguish basketball fans with Sharpie pens. And so the committee had, pardon? Yeah.
Just make it a signature.
Yeah, signature wall, right. So the committee had asked us to propose something else. So this alternate takes care of that business. We plan to take it at the behest of the committee, and in lieu of that, it would be a painted surface.
So this alternate we are going to plan on taking out.
What's its value?
$25,147.
Okay.
Meaning you're gonna delete it?
We're going to delete it, yeah, from the project.
Alternate number 10, delete polished concrete finish on level 2. Number 1, you can see on this on the floor up here that it's a shiny painted battleship gray sort of surface, very. It's not a two-part epoxy, no, but it's a pretty durable paint scheme. Comes in a big bucket, but. Our plan for the lower level remains to remove the tile, the gray tile that's out there, and then what we were planning to do is take a big grinder and grind down the surface to the original concrete subfloor, okay? And then after it gets to a certain level of polish, you actually put a stain on it, and we're looking at maize type colors, you know, similar, there's a great palette of warm yellows to browns that we would stain the floor, and then you actually polish it a little bit further until it's just really nice and smooth. So that's in the budget, that's in the plan for level 1. We have a few new areas of level 2, that little balcony that goes across over the vestibule. So this, our proposal was to also strip the paint off the 2 areas that flank the middle, that flank the creepy hallway. And this is the example, the one on the south. To strip that off and also make it the polished concrete floor with the maize-colored stain. This was not, again, in our view, architecturally, this was not of the highest order of importance for the project, so we wanted to gather a cost for what it would do if we deleted that. So we're proposing, because of its value, which is not terribly high, that we maintain it in the project and not take this alternate. What's its value?
$16,700. So we
Okay.
felt it was a good price to just leave into the project.
And part of that feeling was that it would pull the whole first and second levels together into front of house. Alternate 11, just anecdotally, every time that we come here and look at the building, we second guess our move to take out these 2 concrete stairs to the mezzanine. And to compound that, when we did the walkthrough with the contractors, as soon as we opened that door to one of those concrete stairs, if you're familiar seeing those to the mezzanine, they kind of groaned. Like, so we thought, oh my gosh, maybe this really is an expensive proposition. So we thought we'd better gather a cost on it by proposing it as an alternate. And what would happen is we only need 1 stair to the mezzanine in our new plan. So our plan was to take out both the concrete stairs and replace one of them with a steel stair, and it would be moved over out of the center so that the space in the center, the new entry space is a more sort of wow experience without a stair hanging in it, especially an old stair. So that's why we needed a new steel stair. So the alternate proposed leaving one of the concrete stairs, deleting this new metal stair, and we would have to do a few window modifications that would actually save money on the facade as well. And so I was fully expecting quite a few dollars here, but the value that we have is much smaller. So we also thought that we should not take this alternate, that we should stay the course with our design. Its price is about,
Price is $18,340.
okay. And this is the last. The alternate 12 is actually a proposal to add a feature. Because as we were doing the bid phase, it was suggested to us that, hey, you guys, you ought to remove those front pairs of doors because, number one, they could be damaged in the demolition activities, and number two, it would be beneficial for just moving materials in and out, to have more aperture to move things in and out. So why we did that in the documentation, but at the same time, it was an opportunity to say, well, okay, if you're taking the old doors out, what does it cost to put a new set in that matches the next set that you go through, the all-glass set that's between the vestibule and the lobby space. So as to pull it, just really make a great front door experience. And we thought we should accept that because it had a price tag of about $11,000.
Yeah, we had 10,362, so we thought that was a good add-on. So what we are recommending tonight would be to award it for Moore Lumber for the base bid of $3,952,042, with deleting the wind turbines, deleting the exterior tile base, deleting the felt wall finish, and adding the main entry doors to get us to $3,621,346.
Say that number again.
$3,621,346. That will leave us with about 10% contingency and room for some furnishings and some other expenses to get us to the $4.5 million.
To get this to what number? 4.2 million. We don't have 4.5.
Okay.
Was that adding the?
I think the elevator.
Adding the elevator and the
added 4.5.
We haven't approved 4.5. So if 3.6 is getting us to 4.5, what do we need to get to 4.2?
We've talked about this.
I thought we decided that we needed to go ahead with the.
We never, there's no proposal that we ever voted on for 4.5.
Moving the elevator to
Nope.
phase one.
It was just a discussion item.
Talked about.
Ever been a supplement,
Well, the bond amount has all been supplemented. The total amount of bond has all been supplemented.
If I may address the council, this is Doug Daly. This matter has come up a few times. It's our belief that the original amount of 6.5 was appropriated for both phases of the project. The project in the scope of 7.2 million was approved by the council, and it was determined we'd try to determine how to get the balance at the later date. And at that time when that proposal was approved, we had the phases a little bit differently than we have now. The current phase includes the addition of the bathrooms and the elevator. And so the last time we had this discussion, it was decided that we would take a look at what the bids came in at to determine whether we would approve, not the expenditure necessarily the money, the appropriation, whether we could take part of phase 2 budget and add it to phase 1 to get those changeovers into place. But that we're not asking for any more money for the overall project.
And with the exception of the 7.2, that's the way I remember it. There was discussion about 7.2, but we appropriated 6.5. And 6.5 is phase 1 and phase 2, unless some future council decides to add or subtract to it. But it is my recollection that the elevator was phase 2 money being added to phase 1. which would make a difference, obviously, in the total for phase one.
How much is the elevator project, that portion? Because you got 10% contingency, which is, our capital projects are always around 5%.
Are there, yes, on adaptive reuse, it's a pretty good idea to make it a little more than 5%. I mean, our clearly with the oversight of the city council, I mean, we would be not spending that money willfully. It'd be as with a lot of deliberation. But thank you.
Historically, the city has used 10 for protection. Project protection.
With the fire equipment too, some sprinklers that they got in phase one.
I believe so, yeah.
That was additional with the elevator.
Right.
So to the question about the value of the elevator, this is going to be a bit of a convoluted answer in that the work of an elevator requires different areas of work that, yeah.
4.2 is 3,600,000 is, and then 4.2, that's the 10% difference. So we're looking at 4.2, the way I have it figured out now, not 4.5.
Okay, maybe, Mr.
But that doesn't include the elevator. And I think, not to interrupt, but I think it's important to make 2 points. One is, the previous discussion was, if you're going to have an elevator, it's in the long run cheaper to do it in phase one because of all the falderall going on in phase one than to add it in phase two. And we got to have an elevator, so why not do it in phase one?
So I'm hearing from Mr. Daly that our proposed 3.6 million base plus accepting alternates allows a 10% contingency that gets us up to 4.2.
Right.
And that should, okay, so
That's what the
Does that include the elevator?
and that includes the elevator. Yeah, and the elevator value is $62,000 for the piece of equipment and installation itself. There's some associated work for demolition and new construction for an overrun for the elevator that would be in excess of that. We were thinking more in the range of $120,000 ultimately in our budget. It's probably a little less than that, all things considered. So it's not nothing, but it is in the price right now.
And now we're good.
I believe we are.
Yeah, if there's a question about that, you want to defer it, we've got 30 days to accept the bids. On the other hand, you can make a conditional motion, provided the base and alternates do not exceed 4.2.
Well, the base and alternates will not exceed 4.2. It's just a question of how much contingency you add. I mean, if you add 800,000 of contingency, then it does exceed. So I guess I'm going to move that we accept the base bid with the alternative suggested, removing the wind turbines, removing the tiles at the base, removing the felt in the upper portion of the renovated Corn Palace, and adding the glass doors to the front for the total quoted of $3,621,346. With the understanding that the contingency will take us to no more than $4.2 million for phase one.
You said that including the elevator.
Yep. And any bite out of the contingency, of course, is reviewed by the city council.
Did you second that, Dave? Or somebody? You did, okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Muller Lumber for $3,952,042. And I couldn't see in the dark, so I didn't
Subject to the
itemize all of the alternates, deducts, but with the deducts of the alternates, leaving a balance of $3,621,346. $346.
I'll say them by number here. We accept alternative number 1, alternative number 5, alternative number 9. Those are all deletions from the program. And then accept alternative number 12, which is an addition.
That's correct.
So noted. We have a motion to second. Any further discussion?
I've got one question. I've had a couple people in the last 4 days call me, 2 of them. Explain to me about the ticket window. Someone told me it was $30,000 to $40,000 for 18-foot by 7-foot high window. Is that true or not?
Mr. Allen, I don't know specifically yet. We haven't downloaded those numbers. I know that we're budget for all the glass of the ticket office. We're carrying a budget of $25,000, which is still substantial. So that may get to your question. I don't know if it.
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Yes, or you not knowledge? Do you know? Okay, the exact number isn't known without having some spreadsheets and so forth, but it's a.
What kind of window is it? Or what is it?
Well, it does turn opaque at the flip of a switch, so that you can't. It is so that, which is a fairly common technology now. It also has some preparation in order to have and to have that little squawk box in it and a transaction shelf. Those types of safety features are added. If you have, what can we say about that? So I'm sorry, I don't know the exact price, but if it's seen as a boondoggle, we can try. Yeah, we can look at it further.
I told you that the people that called me, and I asked that question tonight.
Okay, great. Well, we'll stay diligent on that then.
Yeah, this is a lot of money, and there's no question it's a lot of money. But the thing is we have to have the wow factor, and I think we're going to have the wow factor. But if you sacrifice wow factor to save $200,000, nobody's going to think. And so you're going to take the same amount of criticism for 3.6 or 4.2 or 3 million or whatever it is. And I would much rather take the criticism for spending the money and having the wow factor. And if we're not going to have the wow factor, we shouldn't spend any money, frankly.
Being on the committee, it was really challenging. There was a lot of give and take. Didn't get everything that some people wanted. Didn't get everything deleted, but it was give and take. It's been a long time in the process, and I think if we, it's just going to continue to raise in price as we like longer. Who knows?
I see the necessity of deleting that exterior tile base, but man, I hate to see that go. That's unfortunate.
That was one of the things I was really looking
And
forward to.
so I'm hoping that we can be diligent in sticking to the budget so that the potential will remain for us to do that in phase 2, because that certainly would be a nice, when you pull up and you see that, that would have been really beautiful. So that was painful to see that go.
Well, do you see other things that you would
No, I don't.
swap for
it makes perfect sense. I can see the logic in it. I'm just saying, that was going to be nice.
As long as it's not left off forever.
As long as it's not left off forever.
You should see the tiles. They're pretty seductive.
Really?
They're pretty nice. So
Well,
we hope to do it.
There's always a question, should we, and I think we've answered this. Obviously, the committee has spent several hours going through this painstaking type of process that we went through. We are a tourist town. Do we need to reinvest into the attraction? And just tell you a quick story. I was in Chicago over the weekend, and my son introduced me to a couple that's his friends, and we sat down and we got discussing kind of what they would like on their bucket list yet. And they said, we do want to go to Yellowstone, and we do want to see the faces, but is that in North Dakota or South Dakota? And so we corrected them, and then they asked, now, where did you say you were from again? And I said, Mitchell. Oh, that's where the Corn Palace is. So again, we talk about this, that, it is such an advantage of having this attraction here. And, you know, do we reinvest in the tourism or not? You know, that's always the argument, but in reality, that is our identity, and I think we're doing the right thing moving forward.
Perhaps, Susan, that's your answer to the Mitchell Corn Palace question.
Maybe it is. I actually, that's, yeah, I mean, I just haven't heard, I always say, because it just rolls off the tongue, the world's only Corn Palace. And, but, you know, the world's only Mitchell Corn Palace. I don't know, to me, it almost sounds like there's another one somewhere out there that's like the Mitchell China. Is there one in China? Did I hear that one? Anyway, like, you know, there's a world's only some other town. Corn
Big
Palace.
ball of twine.
Huh? What's that?
Oh, I said the big ball of twine.
There you go. Well, so I just think that almost makes it sound, I think that's an.
I was sitting in O'Hare Airport last weekend myself and talking to people I didn't know. Where are you from? Mitchell, South Dakota. Oh, the Corn Palace.
I think you guys have done a great job getting it down to that approved amount and still keeping the wow factor. I agree with Mel.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award the bid to Muller Lumber for $3,952,042. And the noted the deducts that will, alternates that will be deducted from that amount. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Set the date to rebid of June 16th of 2014 to receive and consider bids for the library furniture rebid package number 2, project 2013-7A2 at 1:30 p.m. at City Hall.
Set the date.
I'll wait.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set the date. Any further discussion?
If I could modify the name of this to be called Furniture, Fixture, and Equipment, Package Number 2.
So noted. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolutions. Resolution number 3186, plat of Lot 16, Block 9 of the Woods First Edition, a subdivision of the east half of the southwest one quarter of Section 23, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell.
Mayor and council members, you would see in the Planning Commission minutes that they have recommended approval of this plat. It's part of the Woods First Edition. Cindy had pointed out there's a error in the resolution on page 65. On the top, the date should actually say May 12th, not April. It looks like it probably just was carried over, so just so that it's so noted. Other than that, again, the Planning Commission recommends approval of the plat.
Move approval of resolution 3186 with the date change.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 3186 with a date change. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 3187, contingency transfer, page 69 to 71.
The transfers to the general fund, street and sidewalk budget for bridge repair in the amount of $10,000. This is the bridge by the lake that we talked about in our last meeting.
That wasn't under our insurance package.
Yeah, that was my question. Did we hear anything on insurance? That was a question at the last meeting.
I believe it's not covered, but
I don't know. Jerry just stepped out, so I don't. Yes, please.
We were just, I think we just asked if we could check.
What are these things on page 7?
That's our running.
Those are running forward.
Oh,
Question was the damage to the bridge covered by insurance?
The bridge was not covered on our insurance.
so what is covered if running into the bridge is not covered?
our buildings are covered. Once we add them to the list, if we wanted to add them to the list, I'm sure it would raise our insurance costs. And typically, we do not insure bridges or roads or things like that.
Any leads on who did this?
And after talking to some of the other towns and talking to our insurance said there are no other towns that they know of either that insure their bridges.
Did you get any leads from repair shops or anything?
Yeah. Move to approve resolution 3187.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve resolution 3187. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. First reading of ordinance 2475, an ordinance amending the city code of ordinances by prohibiting certain forms of aggressive solicitation.
I think there was a question on this ordinance at the last meeting, Mayor, regarding making criminals out of school students. And there is in the last, one of the last sections, a exception for.
Page 74, item D,
I believe you're on track there.
I think.
And I don't know if that.
It addresses all the, and I brought up part of the question, and we said put it on the agenda so we can talk about it. And going through it, the charitable solicitation is not impaired. This ordinance shall not be construed in a manner which will constrain or impair or result in constraint or impairment of solicitation for legitimate, nonprofit, or charitable purpose. So we have the question of selling raffle tickets for GBR or for LBW or selling magazines from the high school. And you couldn't walk on somebody's property to do that without their permission. Well, if you're a nonprofit, that would allow you to do that. However, if you're not a nonprofit, and there are still other nonprofits that sell raffle tickets and other things.
Sure, the Girl Scouts sell cookies house to house. Boy Scouts sell popcorn and stuff.
There's questions there then.
That would override number 8 on the prohibited act and the 6 feet from the entrance of the building. Like Walmart.
Yeah, this is very close to what.
Walmart is always, they're all outside the doors there. Shopco, Salvation Army.
They're nonprofits, are they not?
But that would take that
Oh, absolutely.
phrase would take that
In
away.
respect to that.
Just wanted to make sure of that.
I think the inception of this was people standing out on the interstate. We're not going to be able to control that constitutionally.
So when I go door-to-door campaigning,
Unless you're selling votes or buying votes.
am I soliciting?
Unless you're selling votes, I don't believe you are. Maybe it'd work, I don't know. Buying votes. No, you're not, you'd have to buy them.
The other question I came up on definitions, 1D, intentionally blocking and interfering with safe free passage. I have experienced our firefighters holding a boot out and standing in front of my car until I put change in it. Obviously, I would think that can't take place anymore if we pass this.
Well, if they're nonprofit.
And I think the key, and Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the key term in this whole,
Salvation Army.
in this whole ordinance is aggressive.
But
That's-
aggressive is defined as any one of.
B4, you're looking at,
Right.
Councilman Smith.
I've had several conversations with people, business owners, who it seems like everyone has an anecdote or an experience that they've had, and I've yet, well, okay, take that back, no. I did have a conversation with a person who felt like, you know, we needed to, if these were honestly people who were hard on their luck, that we should do something to allow them to seek help. But I think the concern is, and at least what the anecdotes that have been shared with me have been stories of people where they've experienced that these people are not necessarily down on their luck, but that they are staying at the Holiday Inn Express, and they're eating at Blarney's, and they're charging their cell phone and at such and such a place after they've been panhandling, and they're there for a couple of days afterwards, repeatedly going back in the evenings to these other places. And in my mind, I think that from the perspective of the people who approached me about bringing this to the forefront, I think that the whole point is this really the greeting that we want to have? We're a tourist town. We really want that to be the initial impression. We just had the classes at L.B. Williams just beautify that area over where you come off the interstate, and unfortunately that becomes an area also that is filled with trash, and there's littering happening and whatnot. So I just think that there, and I think that there are legal issues that come with this, that there, often is alcohol or drug use. I'm not saying this across the board, but those were other stories that were shared with me. And there often, these are people who may or may not break other laws.
Well, we can't make poverty a crime.
You can't make, I'm not making poverty a crime, but I do think that we need to say, and I think, Linda, you indicated that it would be nice to have this kind of, let me ask this. Is it true that the city has a fund available if someone comes to town, that they could go to the police station, this was told to me, that they could go to the police station could help them, we have some kind of a charitable fund or something like that, is that true?
I'm not aware of the city.
County does.
So where would a person go? So there
You can go to the police station, and we check to see if there's any wants or warrants on them.
Okay.
And then they get assistance. It's usually gas money, sometimes it's motel room, sometimes it's a bus ticket.
So
But it's like one time, it's not
that
all
being
week
the
long.
case, I feel like that meets the need. If our concern really is for people who are down on their luck and who really legitimately need help, then they should be willing to go to the police station and say, I need some help, my car broke down, my family, whatever the situation, is there any way that we could get shelter? And you're telling me that the county has funds available.
People do it all the time.
If that's the case, then why are we not saying there is a legal way to do this, and if there's a panhandler, then here's the number to call, and if they're not willing to go to the police station, that's when I have a problem. If
Okay.
they're not willing to go to the
Now, let me
It's
make
the
this
right to
clear.
stand
Let
up
me
in
make this
front of
clear. If there is a person who is not obstructing traffic, standing at the interchange holding a sign,
They can
food
stand
to work or whatever, that is free speech, and you
America.
cannot touch it.
Nothing we can do.
Let me ask you a question, Lyndon, as long as you're up there. Yeah, I realize there are many things that the police can do if they see the violation. And likewise, there are many things where a citizen could call in and say, I saw this, or so-and-so was speeding, or whatever, and you say, well, we didn't see it, so we can't do anything. Is this one of those deals? I mean, do you have to actively see something?
We would have to witness it. Yeah, we would.
To make an arrest, you gotta.
The officer would.
So
Make an
I'm
arrest,
I'm
it's gotta be
walking my
witnessed.
dog and somebody accosts me on the street and I feel like they're being aggressive and there doesn't happen to be a patrol car come by. I'm just out of luck.
We'd still investigate it.
Here's the thing then, only the city, we can still bring a potential summon that person to court, we wouldn't arrest them. And,
You can still summon them based
We gotta
on
have a
complaint.
witness, we gotta have evidence to substantiate it, other than hearsay or other non.
Right, but we're assuming, frankly, based on Susan's description, that these are transients, and summons to court 10 days from now isn't going to be answered.
Yeah. Same as if we give them a ticket. Where are they gonna be 10 days from now? Probably not here, and they probably may not pay the fine either, but.
You know, when I was in the legislature, we had these kinds of things all the time. If this makes people feel better, I'm happy to do it, but I don't think it's going to do much.
We might be able to post these things around town a little, no aggressive solicitation allowed or permitted or something like that.
And you might be right, Councilman.
The one thing I would say under B, number 6, it says no person shall soliciting, I think that should be solicit,
Solicit.
while under the influence.
Well,
And if you're-
public drunkenness cannot be a
Typos
crime.
On number 5, no person shall solicit by stating that funds are needed to meet a specific need when the solicitor has the funds to meet that need, does not intend to use the funds for
Right.
that need, or does not have that need. You have to insert the word use. But I don't know how, on number 5, how you would ever know or prove that.
Those are good, that's a good question.
So I would say strike number 5 if we're gonna take this. Number 6, under that same section, no person shall solicit while under the influence of alcohol or controlled substance. So if I'm taking Lipitor, I can't solicit. I'm under the influence of a controlled substance.
Well,
I guess I
You
would
want
say.
illegal?
I would say
We'd
we
have
need
to
to
modify
leave
that.
number 5 in, for the very reason that Susan talked about. If somebody is eating at Blarney's and staying at a hotel, you could say, well,
But you can't make, if I'm sitting next to the interstate holding up a sign, $5 for gas, whatever, and I choose that to be my job, why can't I spend the money any way I want?
I take your point.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to give people,
Well, I'm not, I'm good, I'm $5 for gas. Why can't I spend the money any way I want?
I don't know what you're gonna do about it if he goes down and buys a bottle of wine. You give him $5. But that's your choice, to give him the $5 or not.
Sure.
You know,
I don't see how that, and a controlled substance, I mean, I'm prescribed a controlled
Here.
substance and I take it, I can't solicit.
there
Maybe it should be illegal.
is
You want the word
illegally-
illegal, controlled substance?
Illegal,
Or illegal
illegally
substance?
under the, I don't know. Or illegally under the influence of controlled
Okay.
substance.
But then you're gonna have to-
I didn't research
prove
all
that.
of these. I think I put some information out, and this is pretty much borrowed almost word for word from Rapid City and Sioux Falls, and it was apparent to me that they had studied these pretty closely by the pickiness of them to write out those
And you
things
know,
that
like I
cannot be
said,
controlled.
I'm bringing this forward because I was asked by people in our community that had concerns about this, that are business owners and that have had experiences and that have concerns. So that being the case, you know, if nothing else, if it discourages crime in our community, I think that it's worth it. I don't know that it may not make a monumental difference, and we may not know, but it may. It may make a difference. And
That would
I
be the
think
city
you could
council's
look across
call.
the states and see many cases where transient people have that engage in these activities.
Yeah, well, you can't stop them from being transient either.
I understand, Carl, you keep telling me that, I get that.
I know.
But my point is.
It'll be the city council's call. So,
At least the officer can go and investigate.
At least
you're-
we have some teeth.
I will be fine with whatever the city council adopts.
There,
There's an ordinance that prohibits.
yeah, here's the ordinance, but you know what? Come down to the police station, we can hook you up with the county fund and put you up for a night or whatever.
Yeah. He says no.
Yeah, you know, and
If he says no.
I'll just share this little aside, but
God
our
bless.
church often gets phone calls from people saying, my aunt belongs to your church, and I heard that if I, whatever. And my husband often fields these calls. So, and he has said on numerous occasions to them, you know what, it's not our policy to
Oh, yeah, sure.
But feel free to go down to the police station and make your needs known, and I'm sure that there is a way that they can help you. And 99% of the time they say, or they hang up on him, or that it goes no further, or they say never mind, or whatever. And so I just think that it would be, at least you have the ability to say something.
Sure.
And what you do about the telephone, I don't know. Here's some number of years ago, you probably all heard these stories, but my sister in Iowa City got a call, said my son Jason had been arrested, and he needed money for bail money. And she just happened to call. Well, my son Jason's in school of mine. But she was like, oh my God, it's an emergency, I gotta help him. And she just happened to call.
Does anyone wish to make a motion?
There's going to be no end to the fraudulent.
I will make a motion. I would move that we approve on first reading, ordinance 2475 with the alternate language in B6, where we clarify that these are illegal controlled substances that we're concerned about.
Sure.
And the other clerical.
Delete 5?
What's that?
Delete number 5 was the other.
I don't know that we need to delete number 5. It's, why not have the verbiage in there? I don't think it does any harm.
It may not do much good.
Also under 1G, should be under the circumstances, and perhaps if you would give the finance office the authority to review the rest of it, and if there are any others, we'll make those corrections.
Yeah, because you got a page.
Where do I have that, Marilyn?
Yeah.
1G.
Yep.
So moved.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
1D.
I'll second.
And you're leaving 5 in then?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, we have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2475 on first reading and direct the finance officer to make any necessary grammatical corrections and necessary.
For second reading, come back in that form.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So noted. First reading, ordinance 2476, an ordinance amending the City of Mitchell Municipal Code Title 10, zoning regulations, commonly known as the City of Mitchell zoning code.
Mayor and council, you probably noticed some narrative in the planning commission minutes of May the 12th. Just to kind of put this, and then you also have a proposed or draft for your first consideration tonight. The planning commission will hold a formal hearing because by statute they're supposed to do a public notice and so forth, and in the local paper as well. And so the first meeting was to kind of just ask them to give me the groundwork of why it's here, and they'll hold their formal hearing on this as well. But what this draft is in response to what their recommendations were. A couple things. What this was, it all kind of came about. It appears to be just an oversight and a clerical error on the R4 district, where you noticed where it has the 3 and the 4 side yard setback at 25. That actually should be a 5. They probably saw where we did there. And looking back at our notes and the discussion that we had when we did this, that was kind of 5 was the discussion point in relooking at the fire code and the building codes as well. And so it just looks like, and I'll take it, it looks like an oversight that what happened is it just carried over when we did the chart. So what that did is, as well, is that sparked a conversation at the planning commission that, well, we thought also it should be consistent with R3 in the residential district. So under the Article D is R3, and you would see there is under the 3 and 4 dwelling, we had 3. So basically the planning commission's recommendation is make them both 5, if that makes sense. So tonight is for first reading. Again, the Planning Commission will hold a formal public hearing on this recommendation prior to your second reading. A couple other things, since they were kind of revisiting the R4 district. On the second page on the top where you see 10.5E3, and we looked at it, this isn't anything that was really needed very badly. We haven't had any real issue come up with it. However, what we did notice is in the R3 district, these two uses was conditional uses in R3, and they were just missed in R4. So they thought, if you're going to carry them over in R3, that they should be carried over in R4. And that's where you see the child care center, preschool, nursery, and parking facility. So we thought, well, since we're cleaning this up, we'll just as soon add those as well. And then on the bottom of the section 4, we kind of cleaned up some language that was on the notes, where you see where it says notes 1, 4 units, 800 square feet, and so forth. Basically, what the Planning Commission's recommendation is just to delete that, to delete the language about the 4 units, 1,000 square feet to a minimum lot area, and just make it as every time you have an additional unit, you're supposed to add 1,000 square feet. Make it a little, just to clean up the language. And so that's what this is why that's here.
At 1,000?
Correct. Basically, every unit you add over 4, you add 1,000 square feet to the lot area, just to try to accommodate the size. Instead of, in the old one language, we had it by width, and they thought, no, that just kind of didn't make it language. Correct. That's, yeah, right. You see where number 1 is delete, the second sentence is where they add. You have, because when the codifiers get this, they have to see what you're taking out and what are you adding, so that it makes more sense. So just as a generality, I'm going to comment that when we did some of you who are on here, when we redid the whole code, everything seems to be working well. Obviously, it's like anything else. There's always a working document. Things come up, so we will periodically revisit this one. So whenever you see an oversight, sometimes it just kind of, what we're going to be doing through the Planning Commission is maybe just kind of revisiting a little area and maybe some other additional cleanup. But, well, overall, what we did find, and if you looked at the planning report that was in the Public Works report, you would see that from last year to this year, or excuse me, the year 13 to 14 or 12, our variances was cut in half. So it does seem to be helping as well. So I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Move to place ordinance 2476 on first reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2476 on first reading. Any further discussion?
Thank you very much. So.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance 2477, supplemental appropriations.
2 supplements to the general fund for city council legal publications in the amount of $5,000 from general fund cash. This is to cover advertisements for positions for public works and the city manager, and there's a little extra put in for that. And special revenue fund, parks and recreation, sport complexes, capital buildings. This is for the Capitol Stadium entrance in the amount of $30,000, 15 of that coming from donation and the other 15 from the park cash balance. And that's noted on page 79 by Dusty.
I just want to make sure, because I've been asked before, the advertisement wasn't for city manager, it's for city administrator.
Excuse me, city administrator.
You were reading my mind here.
Motion to place ordinance 2477 on first reading.
Second. A motion second to place ordinance 2477 on first reading. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval, authorize the purchase of library furniture off the state bid from the home furniture care of Brown and Sanger for Phase 2 furniture purchase in the amount of $39,168.30 for the Mitchell Public Library renovation project number 2013-7.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I guess, from the library project standpoint, and we talked about furniture for the library at the last meeting. This is the furniture that you can just buy off state bids. It doesn't have to be specially made or anything else, and is within the project that the library is going forth with. The furniture we talked about last time, we approved a bidding time to come back in June for. So this doesn't have to be bid because you buy it off the state project or the state list. And this is the furniture, the other furniture that's standard furniture that they can buy that they need.
Who is this within the budget?
Yes, there was 120,000 budgeted for furniture and shelving. This puts us up to about 118.
Move to approve.
Motion second to authorize the purchase of the library furniture. Any further discussion?
Marilyn, does that 118, you said 120 budget, this puts us at 118, does that include the money for shelving when we talked about at the last meeting?
Yes,
That is included in that?
yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval amendment to agreement for transfer of entitlements with the South Dakota Department of Transportation for airport SRE equipment from $125,000 to $120,000.
This is for a snow removal grant for a tractor, and Scott Supply was the winning bid for the tractor. I think it was estimated that this would cost more. This is a grant that actually was supposed to go through last year, and we carried the money over to, this year. So it was at 125,000, now we need to reduce it down to 120,000. Based off what the bids came in at.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve the amendment to the agreement. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval amendment number 1 to Lake Mitchell Shoreline Restoration Agreement, City of Mitchell Project 2013-27 to SPN and Associates for engineering services.
This is for the spillway project. This is an amendment to the contract with SPN. So far, SPN's contract was just for design. This would be for bidding and for construction inspection. If you look on page 99, the bidding phase of this would be $4,000, which would be a lump sum. And then the construction phase would be budget of $25,000. It'd be based off hourly rates and charges. And that would be an estimated amount. So we would recommend approving this additional work.
Jerry, just to clarify, you said spillway, it's actually the shoreline project that we're doing just to the north of the spillway, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking at the block, the cable mat blocks. And you had approved under the consent items to approve a bid date. And then this would be just the agreement to have SPN do the bidding documents and do the construction phase.
And then the construction phase is separate, is that what you're saying?
Same project, but separate, different pricing and, sums.
The 25,000.
Yeah. 25,000 just for construction, 4,000 just for bidding.
Plus 1,000.
Plus 1,000.
5,000 total.
5,000.
4,000 payable after the bid.
1,000.
Okay.
I'll execute
Yeah.
the construction.
Correct.
Motion to approve amendment 1.
Second.
Motion second to approve amendment 1 to Lake Mitchell Shoreline Restoration. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval, a certificate of substantial completion for Norway Avenue Lift Station, City Project number 2012-33.
Page 102 to 105. This is just part of the grant process whenever we do a project that's got grant money available. We need to sign off on total substantial completion for the project. The project has gone through all the different checklists and phases, and we feel the project is good to go and accepted.
So the punch list, how close are we on that?
All the punch list items have been taken care of.
Great. So why do we not say certificate of completion? Is there, when it says substantial completion, is there anything remaining? I mean, is that synonymous?
I am not sure.
That just makes it sound like there's
Yeah.
this little thing that's still out there, but I just.
Not sure. I think everything's completed from what John Vermillion told me about it, so.
Well, that's why John Vermillion's the man, right?
He handles this part of it, so.
Move to approve substantial completion for the lift station project.
Second.
Motion second to approve the certificate of substantial completion. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval change order number 1 to Ironman Construction for Garden Beaton Demo City Project number 2013-40, removing the deduct option in the amount of $5,445, which was awarded in the original bid for an adjusted contract amount of $23,921.
This is what we talked about at the last meeting. We shouldn't have awarded that, deduct of the $5,445. That was for if the city was going to remove all the material. In this case, the contractor is going to remove it all as part of his base bid. It's telling the mayor and the department head meeting that Northwestern removed the gas line that was feeding the building. He's planning on getting started tomorrow. So.
Move to approve.
Motion second to approve the change order for Ironman Construction. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval of change order number 1 to Sunkota Construction, Inc. for Library Addition and Renovation City Project number 2013-12, adding to a C at 6 voice and data system in the amount of $5,895 for an adjusted contract amount of $1,872,025.
This is basically a communication error between the architect doing the plans and I guess maybe the library. What had happened was in the plans or in the scope, the city or the owner was going to do the switching at the network box, and at that time felt that the city was going to run all the cabling. All the conduit and all the boxes were put in as part of the plans, but we have no wire to run from point A to point B. So this is a change order of $5,895 to run the wire from the boxes to that switch.
If we had to tap into much of the contingency at this point,
This is the first change order that we ran.
and nor do you see anything that has risen at this.
No, we're sitting very well with money, I think. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but with the amounts that they had figured and where we're at, we're sitting in the positive.
At our last meeting, our biggest question is the furniture that we're having to rebuild.
And I'll tell you a little bit more on the furniture. What we came up to was we're going to split it out into different schedules. So the way it was done before, it was all under one schedule. So one guy would have to get prices from all the other subs in a sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it like we do our curb bids. and we're going to split it out into a schedule that would be just furnish a desk that would be modified per, design. Another one would be furnish and install the top slate covers. And then some of the other ones, that way, different people could bid on it. They still have to put in a bid bond, which could be just a cashier's check for a percentage of what that cost would be. But that way, different people could bid on it and do the project. So we're going to try it this way and see if it works.
Move to approve change order number 1 to Sun Coda Construction.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change order number 1 to Sun Coda Construction. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval agreement with Pitts Corporation acting as construction manager at risk for the City Hall construction project.
Mayor and council, there's an addendum on the back of that, and they just put my memo regarding the addendum, and that should be on the last page as an addendum, should be incorporated, other than I think that's fine. The format, before you sign it, the format needs to be adjusted slightly. And that addendum is incorporates a requirement for public bidding that does not otherwise appear in the standard American Institute of Architects contract, but for public entities, there is no legal requirement for public bid letting.
Has Pitts seen the addendum?
Yes, they have. And they concurred in it.
I move to approve the agreement with Pitts Corporation with the addendum.
Second.
Have a motion second to approve the agreement with Pitts Corporation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you. See you later.
We're glad you lived to tell the tale, Carl.
What?
We're glad that you lived to tell the
Well, I
tale.
thought that gal had some good questions on the hockey.
Sure.
What? It wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, she thought,
Well,
she said she talked to Park and Rec.
My wife and daughter.
She said she talked to Park and Rec, which would be the people you would talk to. But, how do they know?